Throughout fighting game history, there has never been another end boss quite as iconic as that of M.Bison. This dictatorial figure, a wielder of a terrifying force known as Psycho Power, oozes authority, which likely aided him in ruling over the Shadaloo crime syndicate with an iron fist for so long. In the closing moments of Street Fighter V though, it showed us that the villain's reign of terror may finally be over. At the end of this game's main story, M.Bison attempts to perform a Psycho Inferno on Ryu, but Ryu counters it with a Hadouken. Bison merely laughs as he fades away, consumed by the power of nothingness. His base soon crumbles into the ground along with his iconic hat. But with this maniacal leader seemingly gone, who is the rightful heir to inherit the remnants of the Shadaloo Empire? Well, today, this is the very topic we are going to tackle as we look back at the story and everything we know about this man, one of whom seems to carry all the right genes to do so. Hello ladies and gentlemen, Big Daddy Top Hat here. This is the story of Ed, Shadaloo's psycho power wielding prodigy. Yeah. Also, I just want to say, if you enjoy hearing about lesser talked about areas of fighting game history and lore, then click that subscribe button now to get videos like this regularly. Just do it. Daddy loves you. Boo-hoo. To be able to fully understand today's story, we need to take ourselves back to the Street Fighter Alpha series to remind ourselves of the events that occur around the character Rose. In these games, she uses her unique set of skills and abilities known as Soul Power to try and rid the world of evil energy. Using her mystical fortune-telling abilities, she learns of the evil surrounding M.Bison, so sets out to eradicate it herself. The second Alpha game retcons the events of the first, but with both of them, it suggests that Rose was successful in using her soul power to defeat M.Bison. But upon consulting her tarot cards, she learns he is still alive. This leads to a rematch in Alpha 3, which sees Rose transform her fist into a ball of energy and punch straight through Bison's heart. Rather than defeat him, instead this allows Bison the opportunity to transfer some of his soul and consciousness into Rose, gaining some control over her from within. Fast forwarding all the way to Street Fighter 4, if players are able to beat the game as Rose, in her ending a scene plays out whereby M.Bison ambushes her, grabbing her by the face and absorbing his soul and consciousness back into his body. This awakens memories of things he did while in her body, including seeing visions of terrible acts he committed. Amongst this imagery are visions of a boy with a bandage around his head, who is the focus of our tale today. We would later learn that this young boy, known as Ed, who was kidnapped by Shadaloo to function as one of M.Bison's spare bodies, has the potential of becoming a future vessel for him. Prior to M.Bison's Street Fighter 4 return, Ed was stolen by Seth and kept within the Sin laboratory. Fortunately, the Street Fighter 4 games would allow us to learn what would happen next with the boy. Balrog, while searching for treasure and things of value around the lab, stumbles across Ed. Ed begs Balrog to help him, but appears completely disinterested in him at first. This all changes though the moment he spots the glowing Shadaloo insignia on the boy's hand. So believing the child is of value to him, Balrog rescues Ed from the crumbling lab. As they walk away from the building's remains, Balrog questions Ed about what he is capable of, stating that if he's supposed to be a replacement body for Bison, he must be able to do something, such as fly or see into the future. The boy says he cannot do anything by himself, which results in the heartless Balrog telling the boy he is even more worthless than he thought. Balrog insists that since he saved the kid now has to do something for him. The scene ends with the Shadaloo symbol on the boy's hand glowing once more. We would get to learn more about this youngster in Street Fighter V, a title that directly follows the events of the previous game. In Street Fighter V, Bison's new enforcer, replacing Sagat, known as Fang, is impressed that Balrog managed to find the boy from Sin Laboratory, but informs him that now Operation Chains is under full swing, that his actions can be seen as a betrayal, as he took the boy without orders being issued first. The two end up getting into a fight with Balrog winning. Afterwards, the boy comes out revealing to the player for the first time that his name is indeed Ed. In between the events of Street Fighter 4 and 5, it appears that Balrog raised Ed, taking on a sort of paternal role for the boy, who was created as another backup body for Bison. Ed has grown into a cocky and flash young man. In A Shadow Falls, the big Street Fighter V story angle, Ed helps Balrog take a control key from Zangief that helps control Bison's super weapon, but it is later restolen back from them. After Bison is defeated by Ryu at the end of Shadow Falls, Ed and Balrog are seen walking away together. Fortunately, this would not be the last time that we would learn about this promising character during Street Fighter V, as a fully grown up Ed would appear as a DLC fighter for the game. In his prologue named The Nimble Boxer, it highlights Ed and Balrog's relationship further. Essentially, after Bison's defeat, the two took refuge under a waterfall in New Zealand, but Ed was not as safe as he thought. Being an intended replacement body for the dictator, the spirit of M.Bison tries to possess Ed's body, but fortunately he is successful in preventing this during his sleep and is woken up by Balrog. Ed informs Balrog that he no longer wants to stay with him, in fear of Balrog eventually getting hurt, information he has received through a prophecy from Menat. Balrog tells him to just shut up and follow his orders, leading to an emotional fight breaking out between the two of them. Ed manages to defeat Balrog in this encounter, leading to the heavyweight boxer's most uncharacteristic moment in Street Fighter's story as of yet. Ed's departure not only results in Balrog expressing the sadness of being left by the boy he raised like a son, but his anger and aggression is replaced with him emotionally shouting at Ed to get lost, illustrating to gamers maybe there has always been more layers to Balrog than a man who is simply just existing to make as much money as possible. As time progresses, Ed grows into a strong, muscular adult, the very depiction of him who is playable. Due to the experiments that were undertaken upon him as a child, these gave him incredible psycho powers. He also has a unique fighting style that combines boxing techniques that he learned from Balrog with psycho powers like that of M.Bison. This lethal combination makes him a formidable opponent. Speaking of combat, this short blonde-haired, piercing blue-eyed individual has moves that are much cleaner than those used by the dubious man who raised him. In the game, V-skill wise, he can pull off a maneuver known as the Psycho Snatcher, which involves pulling opponents towards himself before attacking, and his V-trigger, known as the Psycho Cannon, involves forming a ball of deadly psycho energy which slowly advances towards his poor opponents. As a critical art, he can also pull off what is known as the Psycho Barrage, which sees him unleash a mad flurry of psycho energy fueled punches, which culminate in the use of a single uppercut. Techniques like this illustrate his strong links to both Balrog and M.Bison further. Beyond his unconventional moveset, perhaps one of the most intriguing aspects of Ed is the blue uniform he fights in, which upon closer inspection is once again an amalgamation of the fashion choices of Bison and Balrog, as although this costume looks very dictatory, the colour, along with a lack of sleeves, pay homage to the man who raised him. His second costume features a red military jacket resembling Bison's to cover both of his shoulders, and a corresponding hat on his head. Like Balrog, he wears red boxing gloves with this look. The most intriguing part of this look though is the suggestion that Ed, with his psycho powers, precedes M.Bison as the leader of the Shadaloo Empire, which according to Street Fighter V lore, he very well does. The key difference though is under his watch, he refers to his organisation as Neo Shadaloo, and instead of functioning as a crime syndicate, this new Shadaloo is a force for good. The new incarnation of Shadaloo's goals are to reach out and find all the victims of Shadaloo's experiments from the past, with Ed recruiting new members along the way. These include the likes of Falk, a girl he rescued during the events of A Shadow Falls, who was also intended to be one of M.Bison's replacement bodies. Considering her like a sister, after joining Neo Shadaloo, the pair spar regularly and get stronger together, with this initial pairing coming up with the idea to seek out and help other victims. We don't know a great deal about Neo Shadaloo as of yet, but what we do know is that Ed is capable of ejecting psycho power, Falk can inject psycho power into objects, and a further third, as of yet unnamed member of the group has the ability to teleport. On top of this, they are joined by an anthropomorphic gorilla named Baba, who has glowing blue eyes and glowing marks too, suggesting that the original Shadaloo experimented on animals as well as people. This ape is said to be a highly intelligent one, and has inherited all of M.Bison's wisdom. It appears though that perhaps Ed was not part of Neo Shadaloo forever, as we have since learned that he is going to feature as one of the DLC fighters in the upcoming Street Fighter 6 game. Street Fighter 6, which is set to exist as the latest part in the Street Fighter timeline, will see Ed facing opponents while wearing a far more casual outfit. Depicted wearing a long capri blue nylon hooded jacket with blue linings and pockets at the edge as the hood is red, this once again seems to nod towards the character's connections to both Balrog and Bison. Only time will be able to tell us what the future has in store for this character, and how he will be spending his time in a post-M.Bison world. Anyway, if you found joy today watching this video about the heir to the Shadaloo Empire, then you might enjoy my upload on this offensive M.Bison ripoff. Watch it now. Cheerio.
Chemical catalyst rattling ever.